What is going on? We are live in the lawnmower shed in the backyard, just hanging out. I've got the blade that I have been working on. This is a blade that I made from a Damascus billet sent over from TBW Blades from Ted. And we got this thing hand sanded yesterday. And we're pretty much at the point now where we're ready to etch this blade. And yeah, we're getting ready to do it. What is up, Duck? Sup? Dude, that's cool. You're a member and you have the Frenchie Forge logo. How dope is that? It's rather dope, bro. What's going on, my man? What are you up to today? I'm green. You are green. That is sweet. That's cool, dude. I still think that that's wicked awesome. You are a member of the channel. Very, very cool. Much appreciated. And yeah, I am pretty much hanging out. I don't really plan on doing a live for too long. Have you tried gator piss? I have not. I would love to, though. I am pretty much rolling with a tub of the acid, the ferric chloride. So that's kind of what I'm sticking with. You've tried it. It's fantastic. I know. I've heard a lot of people say that it's pretty good. I actually just got through watching a few videos of some people using it, and the blades turned out really good. There's another YouTube channel, Martin Huber. He has a channel, and he did some of his Damascus. I think he used ferric chloride. But then instead of a coffee etch to get some of the metals dark, I believe he used orange juice. And that's kind of cool. I've never seen anybody do that before. He says, I'm going to make some twist Damascus split crosses today. Heck yeah, dude, that's sweet. Yeah, that's awesome. I want to try to make a couple of little projects like that aren't knife related. And what's up, Ted? How's it going, man? I am green as well. You guys are my two dudes. I'm glad you guys are in here. It doesn't look like there's a whole lot of other people in here, but you know what? We don't need them, man. We're just hanging. We are just hanging. Ted, I've got your blade that I'm working on. I'm going to try to etch this thing today. What's up, Not Known? What are we doing, boss man? We are hanging out with our homies, and we are making knives. This is a blade that TBW Blades, he made the billet and sent it to me, and I am making a knife out of it. I've put a little bit of work into it and getting ready to etch this thing. Before we etch it, though, I want to also include Ted's maker's mark. So you can see up here on the Ricasso, I've got my maker's mark etched in there. And I also want to include Ted's because he was a big part of this build. So Ted, when I made these and sent them to you, I was thinking, okay, cool, no big deal. That might work. Until I went and put one on the blade, the design is so small and tight that it is incredibly hard to kind of pick the parts off that you want to pick off. Like originally, I thought, it'd be really cool to have the TBW part not etched and have the knife logo in the back etched. And then that way the TBW part would still be shiny, like right in the middle of all the etch stuff. But when I went to try to peel the knife off that's behind this, the letters wanted to come with it. And yeah, definitely hard to peel it all off and get the rest to stay. So anyway, I'm incarcerated, boss man. Can you send me a shiv in, please, bro? He needs a shiv. He's incarcerated and he's getting messed with by the other inmates. They say, man, you need to give me your grilled cheese sandwich right now, son. We could hook it up, dude. I'll make a shiv and send it to you. Where are you at? Where are you locked up at? We could send you this one. Maybe you could get like the whole west side, the whole east wing to give you the grilled cheese if you had something like this. That would be sweet. So anyway, yeah, we got this, and at least it has TBW and blades on the bottom. So I know it's not your, official maker's mark, but I just didn't feel right not putting your name on this. So hopefully you don't mind. I'm going to etch this thing and get your logo on here, and then we're going to get it dipped into the ferric chloride and see what's cracking. He's doing the messing. I like it. Yeah, you don't let people push you around, man. A grilled cheese is probably like royalty in prison. I've never been to prison. I've been to jail a few times. Not super fun, and the food was terrible. Luckily, I was only in there a couple of days, and that was back in my ripping and running days when I was a hoodlum. So, things change, people change. I've changed big time. I used to be a drinker, let's just put it that way. I used to like to get a little saucy, get a little tipsy, and made some poor decisions, but I am proud to say that I have not had a drink since 2017. Not one sip, not one beer, not one shot, not nothing. And it's honestly the best decision I've ever made in my life, because I was headed for a bad spot. Like most drinkers who have a problem, there's not a lot you can do, and it's really hard to get out of that situation. But luckily, I made it, and yeah, I am completely sober. Sober as a mountain goat. Although, yeah, mountain goats are sober, right? I guess they could eat like goat nip, kind of like catnip, but they find like, those weird bushes in the mountains that might make them a little crazy. I don't know. Good on you, bro. I'm proud of you. Thank you, man. I'm proud of myself. The food was terrible. Nah, being locked is the worst part. Absolutely, yes. Being locked up does stink. No doubt about it. Yeah, very much so. So, all right, let's get this show on the road. I've got a couple of different ways to, I can't quit looking at I got the mind of a squirrel. I just follow each little nut I see on the ground. Mountain goats love smoking weed. I bet you they do. FYI, mountain goats drink whiskey, man. That I believe. Are you a carpenter? Random says, are you a carpenter? Not really. I mean, maybe a little bit, but not so much. I'm a metal fabricator. So what I do is, I actually work for a fence company of all things, but I fabricate different gates, ornamental gates, big cantilever gates, some wood gates, but mainly working with metal and stuff. So it's all right. It's not the best job ever, but one thing that is cool is my boss takes really good care of me with the money, at least. Not too many people can say that they make the amount of money that I make working for a fence company. So in that regard, I feel, pretty lucky. Mountain goats are living it up. They are. Dude, I'm telling you what, man, if I ever come back in the next life, I hope I'm a mountain goat. I'll just say that. Okay, so, yeah, let's go ahead and we'll get this Maker's Mark etched. To do that, I've got, let's see, what do I got? I got my little etching bag here. It's got some of my stencils and templates in it. And then it's got my prison quality alligator clips and wire. See, I'm hood at heart, man. I just fake it till I make it. I kind of jerry-rig things, so to speak. But yeah, you can do it several different ways. Just using a 9-volt battery, some alligator clips, some salt water, a Q-tip. As long as you have a stencil, that pretty much works. I also have a car charger back over here in the corner. That works really well. It's got to be like one of the older ones. And then that way it doesn't have the safety on it. You basically just have to get an electrical current through the blade for this to work. Let's see here. We're going to hook this up basically to the knife. Then we take the 9-volt and we're going to hook the blade portion to the positive terminal on the 9-volt battery. So we got that going. And then we take our other one and we hook it up to the negative, and that's what gets the current going through there. Have you ever thought once that you could build a large metal robot? Yeah, I can't say that I've ever sat here and pondered that, but now I am, and I bet you I could. I don't know about all the electrical stuff, but I could definitely fabricate a robot-looking like thing. Greetings from Chile, Viking brother, Skull. I love it. Welcome to the lawnmower shed, brother. Glad to have you. We are etching a blade live in the lawnmower shed. Thanks for coming, you guys. Appreciate it. Yes, like an Iron Man suit. Absolutely. That would be very, very cool. All right, so where did my little thing go? Here it is. All right, so we got some Q-tips in the bag. We got some salt water. This part's kind of boring, It takes a little while, especially with a 9-volt battery. It's something that just takes a little bit of time. You kind of have to be patient. But I've got a little jar of mixed up salt water. We're going to dab one of the Q-tips in it to get it wet. And I've also got some paper towel to get the extra water off of it. It needs to be wet, but not overly wet, if that makes sense. Yeah, I feel like when it's a little too wet, sometimes it won't really do its thing. And then we pretty much just, bring the Q-tip down onto the part that we're trying to etch, and we let it do its thing. And let's see here. We got the negative on here. That's good. Let's get this junk out of the way. Really got to try to make sure that this is working correctly. I don't think we have a good connection up here. Sometimes these alligator clips will get old and rusty if you do a bunch of them. And if that happens to you, then it's probably a good idea to change out the alligator clips. All right, let's see if we got a good connection now. And we don't really. I don't know what's going on. Maybe my battery's dead. It's been sitting out here. It's cold. Cold as balls here too. Yes, absolutely. It's 15, feels like 15 degrees here in Missouri. And yeah, I think another snow front is coming in, another cold front. All right, so when your 9-volt battery goes out of style, then you can just say, you know what, we're going to say, screw these little alligator clips, and we'll bust out the big guns. Let me get the car charger. And of course, it's buried under a plethora of items. There we go. So, yeah, now we've got the car charger, and this will absolutely give us enough power to etch this thing. I don't know the shelf life of a 9-volt battery when you are using it to do something like this. They probably don't last too terribly long. So that's probably what was going on. I would imagine it was just time to get a new 9-volt. All right, so we got the car charger plugged in. And let's see here. We're going to make sure it's on. It's got basically two settings, 6-volt, 12-volt. Here's a little shot of what it looks like. It's an old one. And it's good to have the old ones because then they don't have the safety that won't allow you to do this. And you can see we've got power, so that's good. Let's see here. We've got the positive terminal, which is red. So this is what we're going to hook up to the blade. And then we're going to get our Q-tip. That's pretty much what I use when I use this one. I just do another Q-tip as well. You could probably make a better electrode than a Q-tip, but, I've never really explored that option very much. So just doing a Q-tip again with some salt water. we're going to kind of wet down the negative terminal here. And then we're really just pinching the Q-tip into this deal here just to where it's sticking out just a little bit. And we'll give it a go and see what happens. Yeah, there we go. We can almost instantly see it bubbling up and starting to begin the etching process. I really just think the 9-volt didn't have enough juice. That's probably what was going on. You can already see with just a couple of dabs in a few seconds, it's already starting to get kind of muddy. Hi, Frenchie from Pronghorn Forge, Yukon, Oklahoma. What's up? Joe Barry, what's up, dude? How are you, man? I think I've seen you in the comments. What you up to today? All the way from Oklahoma. That's cool. What kind of stuff do you do in the forge? You make knives as well? I know Ted, he makes knives. Duck Rabbit, he makes knives. Both of those are great channels to check out as well. Both really good people. Success time. Good day. Good day to you. Good day to my friends out there. I am so glad that we made it to the weekend. I'll tell you that much. It has been rather nice. This is badass. Thank you so much. Totally not needed. Hey, man, it is cool. And you know what? It's just not right. You know, it's not right to not put your name on it. And I happened to, I was going to save some of the maker's marks that I sent you. And, you know, it's like, I thought I did, but I guess I sent them all to you. So I just went over to the Cricut maker this morning and made another couple stencils and was like, I'm putting this dude's name on here. Hopefully it'll still look decent without the knife portion on it. Let's see here. I know it's probably hard for you guys to see what I'm actually doing. Maybe I can lower it down some without electrocuting myself. Hopefully you can see that a little better. Yeah, we're pretty much just kind of taking our time and doing quick little dabs like this. If you've never done this before, I wouldn't really necessarily be afraid to try. It's pretty cool. I would absolutely love to get an actual stamp and be able to like hot stamp a blade during the forging process. I just don't have one. I know there's places you can buy them and whatnot, but I've always just done this because to me it's kind of quick and easy, and I had access to the vinyl stuff because my mom owned a Cricut machine, and really that's all you need. You can actually hand cut out, you know, you could go to Walmart, get you some of this vinyl sticker, they sell it there, and then get an X-Acto knife and try to cut out a shape or your name or whatever and just do it that way. And in fact, that's how I actually started doing it when I first started. And then I was like, you know what? We can get a way better looking maker's mark on an actual Cricut machine. In fact, my very first logo, let me grab one of the knives where I've got my very first one I ever put in. It's pretty much like an F and then like the mirrored F. So it's got two Fs and they're, you know, facing butt to butt or whatever. And this was one that I cut out of some vinyl just with an X-Acto knife. So it didn't really turn out as good as some of my maker's marks are turning out today. So pretty basic. And the whole idea of the mirrored Fs is just Frenchie's Forge. And what's funny is when I started looking up this logo to try to find it, to print it on the Cricut maker, I actually found a bunch of similar things like the mirrored Fs. Firestone, I think. Is it Firestone? It's a tire company. I want to say it's Firestone. Their symbol is really close to this. There was another girl on, I can't remember. She was on some social media thing where she was selling her stuff, and it looked pretty similar to kind of like this, just where it's got the mirrored F's or whatever. Anyway, my point is, this is one that I cut out by hand with an X-Acto knife, and although it's pretty, it it looks like somebody cut it out by hand with an X-Acto knife. So it doesn't look as cool as some of my later ones, but it's still doable. You can easily accomplish that with kind of minimal tools. I'm looking for another blade that's got a newer maker mark. I guess the one I've got down here has one. Here's one here. There's a little dagger that I made not too long ago. You can actually see the maker's mark inside of this little peek hole right here. So it's still got the mirrored F's. It just has, kind of like the sword and the shield logo going on. And I don't know. I think it's cool. It's good for me because the maker's mark is easy enough to cut out on the vinyl. There's not a lot of fine details and stuff. So I think you're at an advantage if you try to keep your maker's mark simple. I've seen some that, are pretty elaborate, and I think it would be a little more difficult to, try to do a maker's mark that has a lot of detail to it and stuff. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much that. Let's keep going on this. I imagine it won't take a whole lot with the car charger. This one typically will etch pretty quickly. We'll get it back on here and do some more dabbing. And yeah, you can see it just bubbling up almost instantly with this. And so yeah, my plan here is to pretty much just get the maker's mark put in here. We'll get the vinyl sticker stuff off of here, and then we'll be ready to etch this thing. I probably won't show the entire process of, polishing everything out and doing the instant coffee, etc. But I at least wanted to do like the very first, the very first reveal of it live. I'm hanging out here kind of bored anyway, so I was like, you know what, I'll just throw on the video and we'll just hang out. Success time. Happy to see you guys here. Dude is great at it. I love this job. In my place, a lot of people do this. I mean, my place is pretty famous for this job. Google for chust knives. Okay, heck yeah, we'll look that up. You have not told me about the next run of classes you're doing. What are you doing? I know you said that you do some blacksmithing where you're teaching the hammers, I think you said. So like helping, maybe, what is it, like kids or adults, or what kind of students do you guys have? Is it a mix? That would be really cool. That's one thing we don't have here anywhere around here that at least I'm aware of. And I'll tell you what, if I won the lottery or I didn't have to work for a living, I would absolutely love to buy a building and open it up 9 to 14-year-old boys. See, that would be cool, man. A bunch of young kids with hot metal. Come on, what can't go wrong with that? The first run was hammers and knives. Heck yeah. Wheel bearing races are excellent to make knives out of. Absolutely. Ted actually sent me a race, and I still have it in here. I have not done anything with it yet, but I plan to. Nice. Ball peen tomahawks. Heck yeah, let's go. Yeah, that would be a lot of fun. I would absolutely love to do that, to open up a shop, throw 4 or 5 different gas forges along the wall, get a bunch of anvils and hammers, and just be open up to the public. Maybe just have them come in and hang out. I'd also try to maybe do like selling stuff, selling knife making gear or blacksmithing gear, teach classes. I just think that would be cool. It'd be really cool for the community too. It's like blacksmithing and bladesmithing, that's like one of the oldest professions. And I don't think it's dead. I mean, there's still a ton of people that do it. I just don't think a lot of people think about it. And if you had like an actual physical store in a town where you could go in and forge a knife or take a class, I just think that that would be super cool. It'd be productive for the community. You could teach younger kids about it. You could have adults in there. It would just be fun. I would love to do that. Thanks for the context on the Grizzly. Just finished the waterfall you inspired, and small wheel attachment both have stepped up my game on plunge lines and radii grinds. Thanks, man. Absolutely. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, the grinding is a major part of knife making. And if you don't have a machine that, you know, if you're stuck with the 1x30 where the belt chatters like crazy, or you're trying to make a cool looking knife on a 4x36, no offense, Duck, I've got one too. I actually made this one on the 4x36. This was my first knife. It's really hard to put good bevels into a knife with a crappy grinder. It just is, let's face it. Do you have to have a professional 2x72 to make a decent knife? No, you don't. But you come across a bunch of challenges if you have a subpar machine. And that's one of the reasons why I've always promoted the Grizzly and liked it, because it's good enough. It's not a, you know, super badass machine. It is what it is, you know. It's like just on the line of good enough to where you can make some adjustments and whatnot to it to get it to, you know, perform decent. And so that's always been the name of the game, is what else can I do to it to get this thing to work a little bit better. But yeah, plunge lines, that's always been a challenge for me. You know, it's one thing to be able to grind bevels, but then to get a really good, consistent plunge line on both sides, it can be difficult. And practice does make you better. But if you're like me and you don't make knives full time, you just do it as a hobby, I probably make one knife every month or 3 weeks maybe. And you know, it's just not a lot of knives. That's one set of bevels maybe every couple weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and that's not a lot of practice. So it really did take me upwards of a year to really even start getting decent. And I'm still, oh, shocking. I'm I am still just decent. I'm not good. I would not consider myself a great knife maker because I'm still new at it. There's still a ton I have to learn about it. I really do think, though, that the one thing that's helped me tremendously is, you know, beforehand, you ask yourself, okay, what kind of knife am I making, and what investment do I want to put into it? Do I want it to be super cool? Because if you do, then chances are you're going to have to put a ton of time into one knife, at least in the beginning. Or if you're newer, it just takes a long time to get things to look the way that you want them to look. It's not something, at least for me, that I can bust out super quick in a day or two. I take each step that I do, I try to put my all into it, and not on every knife though. Some knives I'll get halfway through and I'll be like, well, you know, this part didn't quite turn out how I was hoping, and so I'm going to not invest my all into this thing because it's already kind of messed up, or it didn't turn out the way that I hoped. So that happens too. But, you know, to make better knives, I think you got to take more time to invest into the, you know, different steps. All right, I think this thing is good and etched now. And we're probably ready to get the gunk off of here and remove the sticker and see what we got. Yeah, that's one thing I will say about the car charger, is it definitely etches pretty fast and deep compared to the 9-volt. Obviously, because it has more electricity, I guess, but yeah, something to note for sure. Yeah, that was the other problem with the stencils that I made you, Ted. It was super hard for me. The picture that you sent, it was in the wrong format, and I had to change the format to get it to even be registered by the Cricut app, which is a total piece of crap, by the way. It's so hard to navigate that app, and it's very limited in what you can do. But anyway, long story short, they didn't turn out how I was hoping, but at least, hopefully, we'll see what this looks like. We should at least get TBW and blades to etch onto this knife. So what I'm doing now is just removing the all of the leftover vinyl stuff on here. We'll get that out of the way, and then we'll take a look. Sometimes it comes out really good where you don't have to do a whole lot of work afterwards. Sometimes it takes a little bit of sanding and stuff on top to kind of clean it up. Another trick that I like to use that is not an original trick, I learned this from watching other people, was, where did it go? This stuff back here. Before you remove the vinyl tape, if you take a little bit of this and a Q-tip, this is the Birchwood & Casey Brass Black, you can get a Q-tip, put it over top of where you just got done doing, and it will darken the etch up. I actually did it on this one, and it just kind of leaves it a little more black, just kind of a black finish. And it really does, just with one little drop, work pretty good. It's not necessary to do that, but you can. All right, so we've got most of this off of here. And for the most part, it's looking pretty good. I think we'll run a little bit of sandpaper over top just to kind of clean this up some. But it's got TBW and blades on it, which is cool. It doesn't have the knife, which stinks, but, you know, it is what it is. It was my best attempt to put your name on it, Ted, so that was the main goal. All right, so, yeah, let's get some sandpaper. We'll run this thing over a little bit. Hopefully help clean it up some. I think I still got some vinyl on there. Yeah, that's the other part that I was saying is, you know, the more detailed your maker's mark is, the more, you know, the harder it is to kind of de-weed some of that vinyl stuff. So, you know, there we go. We got it kind of coming through there. You can see the TBW and the blades portion. And the more time that we take to clean this up, the better it will look. It's kind of muddy right now because it's got the sandpaper marks and stuff. But, you know, pretty easy way to put your name on a piece of metal. It doesn't have to be a knife. It could be anything. I see people do it for their tools or whatever else they want to etch and mark. Heck yeah, that looks awesome. So there we go. Now we're pretty much ready. I don't have words. Totally not needed. Thanks so much. Of course. Absolutely. It is needed, Ted. It's totally needed because this thing is cool. I'm excited to see what it's going to look like. I'm looking at it here prior to etching it. I can see I probably won't pick it up very well. I can see a line of some really light metal, and it's pretty cool. It's got a good heartbeat pattern in it. And on this side, is it this side? Yeah, I think it is this side. It's got one area where it kind of goes like up and down and up and down, and then it goes way up and then way down. It's just, it looks cool. I don't know what all the other stuff is going to look like, but however it turns out, man, I already know it's going to be cool. It's going to be stinking sweet, no matter what it looks like. So there we go. now we got that part done, which is awesome. I decided on this one, I kept some of the little blemishes out of here, or they're still on here. The reason for that is because prior to messing with this, I have not degreased it first, and I absolutely will, because I got my little grubby paws all over it. Get your grubby hands off of it. I got these little blemishes and stuff. The only way to get rid of those was to make this part thinner right here. And by doing that, what would have happened was it would have shown the gaps in my brass, because I already kind of jumped the gun on this one. Where the heck did it go? Here it is. I kind of jumped the gun on this one and decided to make the brass piece kind of before I finalized this. And that kind of bit me in the butt in terms of being able to, kind of thin this down, because if we were to thin it down anymore, chances are good you'd see some of the opening here. But, it's going to have a couple of little blemishes on that part, but to me, that's kind of cool. Plus, it's right by the maker's mark, and then it just looks forged. And that, to me, is kind of a cool look. Some of the dings and dents, you can tell it was a hand-forged blade. And that, to me, is super cool. So anyway, another thing, before we degrease it and dunk it in the ferric, I can show you kind of what I've been working on with the handle part. So I have, I'm not even sure what this is, rosewood maybe or something. What's up, Ron? How are you, buddy? Good to see you, man. Hopefully you're doing well. What are you up to this weekend? So when I was working on this, what in my mind, what I wanted to do was I wanted to be able to shape the handle prior to gluing it up. And as you can see, I've got the kind of the basic rough profile of the handle just drawn on the outside here. And what I'm really trying to do is to get this to have a good looking profile, meaning it's going to kind of stay low and then kind of have an arch up top and then follow the tip back down so that it looks cool, at least from that profile. So that was my main goal. But what I also decided to do on this one was one that I've been wanting to do for a while, and that's use lineup pins for these. Because we have quite a bit of play in here, like it wiggles around on the back of the tang a little bit, and especially the spacer piece, I cut it out pretty wide. So the only way to do this, to really like shape the handle prior to gluing it to the knife, is if I temporarily super glued it all together to get it to stay. And then I could come in, I could grind it, and then get it close at least, and then go back, pop the super glue off, and get ready to glue it all up. The idea behind the lineup pins is that they will help you kind of do that part, I guess, a little easier. So I spent a little bit of time, figuring out where to put these. These are just little tiny pieces of brass, and using those as pins. And then once I've got them in here, I've got my G10 and my True Stone part, and those are kind of glued together already. And then that way there's not a whole lot of movement on here. There's still a little tiny bit, but it's going to line right back up right where it is right now. And the whole purpose behind that is to be able to have everything in a lined up position. And then that way we can, hey, what's up, Bryce, my man? It is a sick mic. You're right. This dude that I know, actually, he's a big baller. He is the biggest baller of all the ballers I know. He actually gave me this microphone. And if you see him, Bryce, you tell him thanks, because I be sounding crispy clean. I'm glad you came on here and said, hey, man, that's awesome. Yeah, we're just hanging out doing some knife stuff. If you guys don't know Bryce Paoli, he is a younger kid that, how did his pastor put it? He's cut from a different cloth. And yes, that is very true. Bryce is the man. You guys don't know him, but I know him. He lives here in Nixa, and we actually work together. Just a really cool guy. And yeah, he gave me this mic. He's like, hey, Matt, your videos are awesome, but your sound quality stinks. Here, take this mic. And I said, heck yeah, dog. Thanks, brother. Actually, you know what, Bryce? If you're still in here, I have something to show you. This is on my to-do list. Now, you'll have to give me a little bit of time because I've got plans for these. Do these, good sir, look familiar to you? Are these ringing any sort of bell for you? Do you know what these are, Bryce? I bet you do. These are massive pieces of spring steel. And if I was a betting man, I would bet, and I would say that they're probably 5160. Wendy's blades, you are correct, sir, and I took a bunch. Hopefully Joe doesn't get mad at me. I don't think he even knows. Let's just put it that way. And he sure as crap doesn't watch my channel, which is fine, because then he'd be like, hey, what's that? What's that drill over there? Is that an Ozark fence drill? Hey, what's that? Is that an Ozark fence saw? Matt, we need to talk. So yeah, anyway, I'm kind of glad he doesn't watch. But anyway, yeah, so this is a blade to a chain link wire machine. And so part of my job, at least lately, was to weave wire. And that's what Bryce did for a little bit of time before he quit working there. He went on to bigger and better things. But that's what he did, was weave chain link wire together. And I actually have I think a quick video somewhere in my videos showing the machine running. We gave her a name. Her name's Wendy. But these are the blades to it. So they have different sizes to make different size diamonds for the chain link. And I have a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I think I have a 6th somewhere, maybe in the garage. But my plan for these is, number one, I want to make a couple of knives. I told Joe, I was like, hey, you know, if you give me one of those, I could make you a knife. And that's kind of how I enticed him to giving me one. He's like, yeah, why don't you take maybe 1 or 2? They won't know the difference. And I was like, okay, I'll take 1 or 2. Yoink! And I took them all, pretty much. So, you know, hey, man, this is good steel, and I bet you they're going to make great knives. They have a seriously good spring temper on them, because part of running the machine is, while it's hooked up into the worm drive, if the chain link isn't rotating far enough or whatever, you actually have to take this big wrench and go and bend these blades to get it dialed in perfectly. And so I know that these things are, you know, good spring steel. And I would imagine there's some variation of 5160, and that's going to be my guess for heat treating them. But anyway, I have big plans for these. I'm going to make Bryce a knife. I'm going to make Joe a knife. And then with the others, I'm going to probably attempt to make a big sword, because why not, right? Like, it's already almost a sword anyway. Pretty much just do a little bit of forging, maybe forge in some bevels. Probably have to flatten this twist part back out. But yeah, really cool piece of steel. And I got a bunch of them. So that's coming up here sometime soon. It's a feels like temperature of 15 degrees, so it ain't going to be today, but it will be soon. And as soon as I get it done, man, I'm going to hit you up, and we're going to have a sword fight. Want to touch tips? Want to have a sword fight and touch tips? That was weird, right? Yeah, that was weird. Weird, Matt. Quit being weird. Okay, so where were we? We were talking about this knife. Yeah, the lineup pins. That's where we were. Yes, the mind of a squirrel. I've said it before. I have a hard time paying attention. I have a farming YouTube channel, Big Red Farmer. Nice. I'll have to check you out. 5160 was nice to work with. Forge it hot, Ted says. Okay, yes, sir. I most certainly will. I have not worked with 5160 hardly at all. I mean, I made a couple. The little coil spring that I made out of my Hyundai, I'm pretty sure that's some form of 5160. This weird looking blade with kind of a weird shape. The handle is probably the coolest part about it. But, you know, it's kind of like a ripper, kind of like a toenail, sharp toenail. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's spring steel. And I think I made one other blade that was spring steel. So I don't have a ton of experience with that, but I'm sure going to get a ton with this. What I'll do is cut off a little chunk and forge out just like a practice blade, and then heat treat it and just kind of crack it open and see if the heat treat went well. That's what I did with a lot of my very first knives when I was getting into heat treating them. After I went through my stage of I'm going to make every knife a file knife, and then I was like, no, I can't do that anymore. So I started messing around with like 1080, and I'd make 2 or 3 of them, quench them, crack them open, see what they look like, kind of test them out to make sure that I was getting my heat treat at least somewhat good. And that worked well, so that's probably what I'll do for that. But anyway, yes, so there we go. That's pretty much the handle portion. Got the lineup pins, and the whole idea behind doing this is that now I'll be able to help shape the handle prior to gluing it up. You know, like if I wanted to go ahead and, you know, grind some of this stuff off without having to touch this at the same time, I'll be able to do that with these pins. So it's something new for me. It was kind of tedious trying to work through doing it this way. But, you know, we'll see what other benefits it has, as this is the first time I've ever tried this. So I'm certainly not an expert, but I can see that it should be helpful for at least some of those aspects. Yes, 4140 is awesome. The key is swinging a big hammer energetically. Yeah, no doubt about that. Yeah, the harder you can hit it, the better, but staying accurate at the same time is important. For sure, absolutely. And yeah, I've heard people say that 5160 or spring steel, you got to forge it hot. So definitely going to do that. Okay, so now that we've got the handle done with, we talked about that. Let's go ahead and get this degreased and etched, and we'll see what we're working with. I have got a pail of, was warm water, it's lukewarm now, and some dish soap and some napkins. So we're going to give this a little rub down here with some soap, get all the junk off of it, mainly fingerprints and other stuff that we don't want on there. The more oils and whatever else accumulates on the surface, the worse etch it's going to be. And if you've ever etched one, then you would know probably what I'm talking about. You will literally see like the shape of your thumbprint. And if you don't know that, and it's your first knife that you're trying to etch, then you will soon find out that that's a thing. Definitely need to do your due diligence in cleaning off the metal, that's for sure. And even with a little bit of soap, you know, on there, you can see a lot of the napkin's already turning kind of black. So there's still little micro pieces of metal on here, probably along with a bunch of grease as well. What do we got going on in here? That's my go-to strategy. Looks like a good way to line up your handle parts. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm thinking. I said in my last video that I see other people using that trick. And, your mic is clipping, which means it's making a weird sound because it's picking Here, cool. So I just got a personal text from the audio man. He told me to move it down. How about that? Is that better? See, that's my dude, man. He helps me out. He's like, hey, man, your mic is not correct. Move it down some, would you? Thank you, Mr. Bryce. I appreciate that. Yeah. I am just going to continue to wipe it down. We're making sure all the grease is off. I already said that, but we're saying it again because why not? And now that we have this cleaned up, that TBW is looking super sick. I mean, come on now. It doesn't have the knife, but seriously, that is killer. Even if it doesn't, even if it doesn't look decent, it's still going to look good. So we got two options at this point. So much better, Bryce says. See? My guy. So note to self, Matt, don't clip your microphone to your chin whiskers, because then you're going to have whatever he said, clipping. I don't know what that is, but I trust him. I believe in him. Or, like the scratchy part, like this. Can you hear that? Is it super scratchy? Are you guys getting mad at me because it's scratchy? All right, enough of that. I'll quit. All right, so, yeah. I think we've got this thing pretty well good and clean. Let's go ahead and switch to another paper towel. One without any soap on it. Let's see what we'd be looking like here. Okie dokie. That's looking pretty good. Nice, nice, nice. All right, so there we go. We now have this sucker clean. No oils or residues on it. It is nice and wiped down. So now we're ready to dunk this dog in the ferric chloride. I really don't have a whole lot of this left. I actually dumped a bunch out on purpose because I thought it was contaminated. And that was a major mistake. I actually lost probably half of the original stuff because it wasn't etching the blade right. And come to find out, it wasn't the ferric chloride, it was me. I was just a crappy knife maker. So, lesson learned there. Yeah, anyway, we still have enough of this to kind of flip the container to its side and be able to dunk this thing in here. I actually did do a very quick test etch on this right after I ground the bevels, and they were only ground up maybe half an inch or so just to kind of see, and it did look cool, so I'm excited to see what it looks like. Let's go ahead, we'll dunk this dude in here. Let's see. Also got some Windex with ammonia for neutralizing said acid. And then behind me over here, I've got another tub of some baking soda water. So we'll do that here in a minute. And then I've got an empty pail as well for whatever we may need. All right, so let me flip this off my screen. Get out of there. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to dip it in here. And it would be nice to maybe put a little bit of water on this dude. Maybe not soapy water. Let's see. Let me get this going here. You see a lot of people put water onto the blade before they go in. And I don't know necessarily if that helps. But I have done it in the past, and we'll give it a test here. Maybe it kind of helps break up any surface shenanigans when you first put it in the acid. I don't really know, to be honest. All right, so we got it in here. We're going to kind of swirl it around a little bit. Oh, y'all. I'm saying, man, this thing is going to be sick. Ted, man, you are a big baller, dog. I'm just saying right now. I'm going to aspire to be as good as you one day. This is just cool. This is way cooler than anything I could ever make. And to think that you put all the time and effort and energy into this, I can't look. I can't see. Oh, you're gonna want to, dude. It looks freaking awesome. Okay. Ooh, the ferric chloride is really quite gooey. I need to buy some new ferric chloride. All right, I think it's etched enough to be able to show you. Are you guys ready for the big reveal? It's definitely badass. There's no other way to really say it. I mean, look at that. That is absolutely bad to the bone. I mean, you good sir are an absolute metal genius. I really, really think that this has some super interesting stuff going on with it. What is the line of silver? What did you use for that, man? It's almost like not the etchant isn't even touching it. Is it pure nickel? Or what? I don't know, dude, but this is just insane. My guy, you are freaking amazing. Fire! Or yeah, whatever. Whatever. Ron did some emotes and I said fire and it's not fire, it's explosion. But yeah, that's about what I'm thinking too. This thing is freaking dope. No doubt about it. It's really cool too. You almost have the Damascus stuff going on up top. Then you've got the silver line, and then you got the bottom that's almost etching a little darker. It seems like just absolutely stunning. This is very, very cool. I couldn't be more happy. That might be the nickel powder. Really? No kidding. That is interesting. I always wondered that, if you're putting stuff in a canister where, especially powder, and you go to put it in, you're kind of, it's a gamble almost, right? Unless you make containers or something to get the powder in a specific spot. It's like, okay, well, you don't really know what you're going to get, I guess. But that's the whole point of it is, Damascus is cool because no other blade in the world exists like this one. This is a one-of-a-kind killer blade, and the pattern is very unique. And that's what makes Damascus really cool is, you could prep a billet the exact same way every time, and it would just turn out different. It's all about, different hammer hits are going to move the metal a little bit, and each hit that you do is going to manipulate it a little bit more. And two identical ones can turn out completely different. And that's what makes Damascus so cool, in my opinion, is that you never know what you're going to get when you pull it out. And we just got a banger. This thing is absolutely killer. So yeah, there you go. Now we have an etched blade. We know what it looks like. We've got a killer handle for this killer metal. And this is probably going to be one of the better ones that I have thrown together. And thanks to Ted, this is absolutely the star of the show for sure. Now, hopefully, I can make a somewhat decent handle to match this killer blade. Even if I get a halfway decent handle, I'll be happy because this thing is more than enough to be a cool knife. The original planned pattern was lost. I got you. Coffee etch should bring out the dark steel. This might be the nickel powder. Yeah, this is very cool, man. And it's got a lot going on in it. It really does. Definitely cool. So yeah, there you go. Very, very cool. Now we've pretty much got to do quite a bit of, some into the ferric chloride, bring it out. We're going to use some fine grit sandpaper to clean it up. Then we'll wash it off. We'll go back in the ferric. We'll do a little bit more of that, maybe a couple more times until we get those oxides to set in, and then we'll probably batch up a thing of hot coffee and get it darkened. So there we go. Where are we at? We're at an hour. I think that's pretty good. Yes, you did. You didn't get lucky, man. You knew what you were doing the whole time, and you pulled it off. That ain't luck. That's skill, my guy. So to the 48 people that are in here watching this, I very much appreciate you guys hanging out today with me and with everybody. It's been a great conversation. And it's been a lot of fun. And I am so excited to finish this thing out. It's going to be absolutely amazing. So, you guys make sure to stay tuned for this to finish this blade. And then, I was thinking, Ted, it would be really cool. We can talk later, but it'd be really cool to potentially give this thing away. I don't know what your thoughts are. I actually thought about bringing this. Dude, let's go. Duck Rabbit Forging gifted one the OG Frenchie membership. Heck yeah, let's do it, my dude. You're awesome. Jesse Dunn was gifted a membership by Duck Rabbit. That is cool as heck, man. I didn't know you could gift memberships. That's insane. That is really cool. Um, Yeah, so yeah, Ted's got his press. You got the Clark iron, I believe, and that thing is awesome, man. Anyway, yeah, very cool stuff. But I'll get with you later. I was thinking potentially to. I was originally going to send this back to you. I was going to complete it, give it back to you, and then you could do with it what you want. I can still do that, and I would love to do that. I was also thinking too that maybe you and I could get together. We could compile somehow our subscribers, take all your subscribers, take all my subscribers, put it in a pool and spin the wheel and give it away to a subscriber. That would be awesome. Do a raffle for this knife. Yeah, there you go. Ron's got a great idea. Do a raffle. So if you're in here watching and you're not subscribed, go hit the subscribe button. Jump over to Duck Rabbit Forging, hit the subscribe button. Go to TBW Blades, hit the subscribe button. Go to RC Knives, hit the subscribe button. Lots of really great people in here, and your support, if you're not a knife guy but you like to watch knife stuff, your support is awesome. Go support all these guys as they deserve it. They're all really good people that make really cool things. That's the Jason Knight motto: be a maker, and I love that. You need to be a maker, whatever your craft is. It's a lost and dying art. People don't. Um, I see it in like the younger generations with my kids. They love playing video games. They love doing sports, but trying to get one of them to come out here and make something with me is like pulling teeth. Or even music. I like to play guitar. I've got a drum set and all kinds of musical stuff in there. Trying to make music is hard to get them to do. So, yeah. Anyway, it's awesome to be a maker. Go make something great today. Make a buy me a coffee raffle. There you go. That'd be sweet. Ted, I'll hit you up later. We'll figure something out. I can send this back to you. You could do your subscribers, do a raffle for that. I'm game for anything, man. I'm just really glad that you were able to make me a part of building this thing because it's wicked cool and it needs to be shared with the world and shared with somebody. So anyway, yeah. Appreciate you guys very much hanging out, and we'll probably cut it here. We're 65 minutes. I'm glad that you were able to stick around to see what this thing looks like. Appreciate your guys' support. It means everything. It really does. And I can't wait to finish this thing up and can't wait to interact with you guys in the comments coming up soon. You guys got any other questions or anything else before we dip out of here? Say it now. Say it now. Say it now. Keep it with you. We'll figure it out. Okay. We need to figure it out because it's definitely cool. I thought it'd be really cool to have somebody, raffle this thing off, to give it to somebody. So do it in a way that it will help support your channel or my channel or our channel or Duck's channel. How can we all get in on giving your channels more support by giving a knife away? Surely there's a way to do it. And, be cool to have our collective work out there, working for somebody. Anyway, we'll figure it out. Really appreciate you guys. We'll probably end it here. Thanks to everybody who stopped in to say hey, and we'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Once I get my channel monetized, that will open up a bunch of opportunities. Yes, sir. Absolutely, man. It definitely will. We need to get you both monetized. No doubt about it. You guys take care. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.